Hope you be so ready for this. Hear the sound of war all through the streets. See the face of fear on everyone you meet. They come on the streets. They speak their lies. We are the people. They won't take us alive. Ladies and gentlemen, feds and degenerates, cuckolds of all ages, it is that time. Once again, it's time for Mild's Culture Plate. I am your host, Mild Kevin Miles, and it is a Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, 10/23/24. All right, folks. Hopefully you all have had a good start to your week, and we're here on Hump Day, breaking some news for you, or breaking some news down for you. I'm not really breaking any news. If you've been on the internet today, you know what the hell I'm talking about here. First off, I'm going to say welcome to the chat, everybody. Welcome to anyone who's out there watching. I noticed we had Salty Saiyan already leave a good hello down in the comment section, so I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit of this Knob Creek rye. Knob Creek rye. I'm not going to pour very heavy. I've noticed, I don't know if it's the shape of the glass I got for Christmas, the Knob Creek rye that came with this bottle last Christmas. Is just might be wider or something, but yeah, I'm not filling it up as much as I do my other glasses. Go ahead and set that back there for the show. And I'm going to give a cheers to Salty Saiyan. Good seeing you. Anyone out there watching, feel free to say hello in the chat. I'll show your message on screen. I'll give you a toast. I'll welcome you on in. Appreciate having y'all. That's my little thanks to everyone who comes in and contributes just a little bit of commentary to the show. Feel free to come on in. We got Great Liquor over on Rumble. Cheers and welcome. All right, starting with a good couple of toasts there. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. We're going to start off with some interesting news from the state I used to live in. Hey, we got Still Not Banned here as well. I'm going to go ahead and cheers to you as well. All right, getting the show started off good. All right, we're going to start off with news out of a state I used to live in. We have a Senate candidate in Missouri, a Democrat, whose whole thing is, ex-military, Marine, super gun guy, but he's a Democrat because he does the gun stuff real safe, right? Because he's a Marine and knows how to handle weaponry safely, who may have shot a reporter. Lucas Kuntz, Missouri Democrat Senate candidate and Marine vet who often smugly touts his gun safety expertise online is being viciously mocked after a journalist was struck by a stray bullet fragment during a campaign event at his haphazardly backyard shooting gallery. This is from the New York Post, Chris Nessie. You can't make this shit up, folks. Photos from the ill-conceived gathering, which one observer likened to a Where's Waldo for things you would get permabanned for from any state-regulated gun range, show that Senate hopeful Lucas Kuntz is firing a scoped AR-style rifle at what appears to be aluminum cans from 25 feet away. The event was held at his home in Holt, Missouri, with supporter and former GOP representative Adam Kinzinger and local union members. As Kuntz fired, KSHB TV 41 reporter Ryan Gamboa was struck in the arm either by a bullet ricochet or another stray metal fragment. His injuries were minor, and Kuntz was among those who rendered his first aid at the scene, but X-users relentlessly trolled the pictures of the event, which they say showed evidence of disregarding every gun safety best practice in the book. Great day at the range today with my friend Kinzinger. We got to hang out with some union workers while exercising our freedom. Always have your first aid kit handy. Shrapnel can always fly when you hit a target like today, and you've got to be ready to go. Kuntz wrote on his X post, viewed more than 14 million times. Yes, great liquor. Using a scope at 10 feet. Oh. We had 4 first aid kits. Yeah, because one's not enough. One is not enough when Democrats are handling firearms. One first aid kit is never enough. Kuntz is hoping to unseat Josh Hawley. He said, we had 4 first aid kits. We were able to take care of the situation. I'm glad Ryan is okay and able to continue reporting. The negative responses came flooding in by the thousands, with many in disbelief about the lightheartedness. Great day at the range, bro. You literally shot someone. One user, ex-user, mockingly responded. Why are you using a scope 10 feet away? Thank you. Great liquor. Great minds think alike. You absolute idiots. All of your gun rights should be suspended until you take a multitude of safety classes, a third commenter said. And then we had this image here. I love this image. Shrapnel generators, no backstop, big scope to activate auto aim, iPro on head. Yeah, he's got his safety goggles on his head. That is amazing. Rifle butts on his shoulder, not in his shoulder. It's got to be down here, folks. Down here. Down here. Not here. Here. And then no hearing protection over here. Can't wait for his turn. These appear to be 2 cans of tannerite on the table that he's shooting over. For those who don't know, tannerite explodes when shot. Here we go. Bipod staged to look cool despite targets being close enough to throw the bipod at. Oh, shit. Stephen Gutowski, journalist and founder of gun policy and politics publication The Reload, told the Post that the gun range's setup likely contributed to the mishap. You think? From the pictures of the incident, it appears the issue stemmed from them shooting at stationary steel targets with a rifle at short distance. Shooting steel always carries some level of risk of ricochets or bullet splatter. However, that risk is usually mitigated by having the steel hang in a way that allows them to swing and by only shooting steel with a rifle at much longer distances. The Kuntz campaign did not immediately respond to the Post's request for comment. So there you have it. My thoughts go out to KSHP reporter Ryan Gamboa. Get well soon, brother. Okay, so the next story, also from the New York Post. For some reason, they had the only couple of stories that I really felt like covering in this format. I wasn't originally going to cover this, but with the main story of the day I felt it was important to do kind of a warm up because we're going to get into these fucking media narratives. The media narratives are thick today. Dare I say we're a cunt hair away from the October surprise, if not already there. Demon's Wrath says Joker 2, perhaps. By the way, cheers and welcome, Demon's Wrath. Good seeing you. No, not going to talk about Joker 2. Although I will say, I find it hilarious that movie theaters are already dropping Joker 2 and it's appearing on streaming platforms. But no, we're going to be talking about media narratives. We will get into multiple Batman stories toward the end of the show. One in particular that has to do with all of these things we're going to be talking about. So the next like six things are going to be talking about. I don't love getting into the election because, quite frankly, as a libertarian, I like to keep my third party cred. I like to keep my libertarian cred. I don't like to heavily be like my Republican. I know I got a lot of conservative viewers, and I'm probably going to vote for Trump. But I don't like to get into the whole media. But I talk about media narratives, and what is talking about media narratives if not talking about the way they lie about Donald Trump and his allies right now? And when I say his allies, we have this story out of the New York Post that I thought was important to cover because I haven't been seeing this story pop up really a whole lot of other places. Ex RFK Jr. running mate Nicole Shanahan had to offer $500,000 to the Washington Post to reveal sources. Now, when you see this headline, your brain immediately thinks, okay, now media outlets revealing their sources is a bad thing, right? But let's delve into this story just a little bit. And especially offering $500,000, it's kind of scummy to offer this much money, a huge amount of money, to reporters to reveal their sources. But she's got reasons, folks. Former vice presidential hopeful Nicole Shanahan offered a reporter for the Washington Post $500,000 in exchange for names of sources that have been leaking information about her, according to the newspaper. Shanahan, the 39-year-old San Francisco native and environmental lawyer, was informed in June that Washington Post was working on a lengthy story that included explosive details about her marriage to her ex-husband, Sergey Brin. In response, Shanahan texted an associate who had been contacted and suggested a deal. As part of the arrangement, the associate said that Shanahan would pay your friend, the reporter who contacted the associate, $500,000 to be a whistleblower and out the sources who were spreading what Shanahan claimed was false information about her, according to the paper. The associate then relayed the offer to the Washington Post reporter who did not respond, according to the newspaper. It is unclear which reporter was offered the deal. Asked for comment on Wednesday, a Post spokesperson referred the Post back to the story. Brin, who filed for divorce from Shanahan in January 2022 after learning of an alleged affair she had with Elon Musk a month prior, was married to Shanahan for 5 years. Musk and Shanahan have vehemently denied that affair, and New York Post has sought comment from Shanahan and Brin. According to the article, Shanahan told Washington Post last week she disputed aspects of the newspaper's reporting, adding that I'm so sorry you feel it is appropriate to do this for political motivations. It's a very sad state our country is in. Shanahan, longtime Democrat, who reportedly walked away with more than $1 billion as part of her divorce settlement with Google co-founder Brin, was then tapped by Bobby Kennedy Jr. to be his running mate before dropping out of the race and supporting Trump. Washington Post Wednesday story quoted several unnamed sources who weighed in on Shanahan's political transformation from a Silicon Valley Democrat supporter to a fixture at events touting a second Trump term. The story features bylines of 4 Post journalists: Elizabeth Dwoskin, Ashley Parker, Meryl Cornfield, and Aaron Schaefer. Don't contact or troll these people. The article also includes salacious details about her marriage and the strain that the union is alleged to cause with the tech mogul's family, as well as the impact it had on his relationship with Larry Page. According to the Washington Post, Page disapproved of Brin's relationship with Shanahan, which caused a strain in their friendship to the point where the two co-founders of Google stopped speaking. Shanahan is also reported to have driven a wedge between Brin and his 2 children from his first marriage to Ann Wojcicki. According to the article, Brin and Wojcicki were on amicable terms and when they finalized their divorce. Wojcicki, and CEO of 23andMe, learned Brin had been carrying on an affair with a younger Google employee, according to the report. Shanahan then struck up a relationship with Brin just as she was preparing to marry Jeremy Kranz, an investor, who then moved to annul the marriage just weeks after exchanging the vows. Wow, man, there's all kinds of home wrecking. All kinds of home wrecking. Wild's family awe. What? What about my family, bro? Brin is also reported to have disappeared from family events such as his daughter's birthday because he was very much on the clock when Shanahan was around, an individual told the Post. According to the Washington Post, Brin agreed to a divorce settlement that paid Shanahan in excess of $1 billion, but the tech mogul is said to be unhappy she used the money to run for vice president. Sergey gave her the money so she wasn't going to do harmful things to him. A person... See, now this is just dirt. The New York Post has sought comment from Page and Wojcicki. Both declined to respond to the Washington Post story. So again, you run for vice president, and people will come out of the woodwork. Just like all the people that came out and said, oh yeah, I got drunk with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance said this back in high school and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, if Nicole Shanahan's got a $500,000 to drop to find out who's fucking lying about her, assuming they're lying. Now, again, I'm open-minded enough to say, hey, maybe these people might have a point. Maybe she was a nightmare of a wife. Trust me. Look, man, my thoughts go out to Sergey Brin, right? You're a rich dude. You had a chick come in, marry you, wrecked your home. Maybe she was a nightmare. So she's got a cool $500,000 to squash some of these rumors about her. I don't blame her. I don't generally like newspaper reporters revealing their sources, but when it's this kind of muckraking about people's family life and relationships, I don't care. I don't care. So let's get into the big news story of the day. You folks know what the big news story of the day today is, right? The comparisons to the former President Donald Trump to the World War II mustache man. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this article out of The Atlantic. And it has made its way all the way to the home of the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Let's listen. So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him.
Okay, so let me just stop you right there. Okay? The Constitution says the President of the United States is the commander in chief. She's going to go on and talk about illegal orders. Yes, Demon's Wrath. Which generals, though? Look, loyalty is important in a military command structure, right? Loyalty saves lives in a military structure. I'm not making excuse for Nazis, right? To me, the Nuremberg trials had it right. You have the right to refuse illegal orders. You have the right to refuse orders that are repugnant to humanity and God. I firmly believe that. But so far, I've done a surface level deep dive. I don't know if you can call it a deep dive, a surface level dive into this a little bit, and we'll go over this a little bit here on the show. I've done a surface level dive into this. I watched like 2 10-minute interviews and some of this, and yeah, it was the New York Times who ran the article. Sorry, I was confused. The Atlantic was the same guy who wrote both articles. Guderian, Jody, Rommel. Want him on your fantasy blitzkrieg team, Guderian. Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, the sentiment is that he just wants loyalty, right? That's what he's saying. He wants loyalty. This idea that he doesn't want them loyal to the Constitution, I think you're going to have to back that up with a little more. And to me, one of the things I keep hearing throughout this narrative, this media narrative, and these journalists talking about this is they talk about illegal and unconstitutional orders. Well, to me, that's a bold claim. Like you should tell us what those orders are. Because if Donald Trump was issuing illegal, unconstitutional orders and demanding that our military follow them, that's the important part of the story. Not this comparison to Mustache Man. I give no shits about Mustache Man. World War II Mustache Man, I give no shits about. But if Donald J. Trump is issuing unconstitutional, illegal executive orders through the military for the military to act upon, and you're not telling us about that, but you're whistleblowing, oh, he might have said some kind of thing about Hitler being good, tells me that this is a nothing burger. Heinz Guderian literally wrote the book Achtung Panzer, where he invented Blitzkrieg, so ahead of his time. I can think of several people in my command who've done that and are actually on trial for it right now. Agreed, still not banned here. I what do you do? What do you do if you're given unconstitutional orders? Do you become a whistleblower and risk your life? Do you become Edward Snowden? Go live in Russia? I mean, you kind of got to face the trials. But do you go to CNN and say, oh, no, he wanted to be Mustache Man? You go to the New York Times and say, oh, he wanted to be Mustache Man. Yeah, none of them are Trump. No, unfortunately. Anyway, let's listen to the rest of what she says here.
Wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution
of
the United States.
What orders?
In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within. And
That's already
even
been
said that he
debunked.
would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's
No,
be
he
clear
said he would use the Justice
about who
Department
he
to go after
considers
people
to
who are
be the
lying.
enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify in his mind as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials.
You mean like the members of the DOJ and FBI who said they didn't want to improperly go after Trump, or who were opening investigations into Hunter Biden, but were fearing for their jobs and fearing from you know having the same investigatory bodies looking at them. You mean that kind of fear?
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous
Yeah.
that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews.
Okay, I please no comments about the 6 million number, please. I'm not going to get into that debate right now.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal.
Oh, she's just going through every debunked statement, right? Every media narrative there is. I mean, this is how you know. Like, they're accumulating their lies into the big lie, right? Everything they said about January 6th being the big lie. Like, no, they're like Legos stacking the lies on top of each other, and now they're just putting Mustache Man right on top for the big lie. Trump is Hitler. I mean, literally going for the Trump is Hitler. I mean, you remember in 2016 when we mocked this idea of Trump is Hitler, right? Because it's something only a crazy far leftist would say. They're bringing this out as the mainstream media narrative right before your very eyes. Is this the October surprise, or do we have another one coming? It's just some wild BS they're trying to pull off with the help of media, of course. Lies. Yeah.
Militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable.
Unhinged.
And in a second term,
where are your hinges,
people
Donald?
like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you.
Okay, so here we have John Kelly claiming that Trump said this. This is the same general who claimed that at a funeral for a serviceman, Donald Trump called our dead veterans losers and suckers. The same liar who reported this story in a different news outlet. But when the journalist I'm referring to is Jeffrey Goldberg. Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic and now the New York Times, who wrote this. He wrote this in 2009. And yet, take a bow, sir. Take a bow, sir. First person to invoke Hitler loses. My good man, you have now become the face of the mainstream media, who are all right now invoking Hitler. Welcome. Welcome. We also had the following video happen over the past 24 hours. This is Mark Halpern, who's making a bold claim here.
These last 2 weeks are going to be filled with things like this. And I can tell you, without going into detail, that I've been pitched a story about Donald Trump now for about a week that, if true, would end his campaign. And
end his campaign.
There's all sorts of things like that flying around. I'm not the only one who's been pitched it.
And he's not the only one saying this. I've heard this from multiple journalists out there. I've seen this, like this tweet here where Halpern's talking about this. Mr. says there's a phenomenon called Godwin's Law or Godwinson's Law. Yeah. Let's bring that up. Why don't we? We're talking about it. Let's bring it up. Godwin's Law. Godwin's Law of Nazi Analogies is an internet adage asserting that as online discussion grows longer, the probability of a comparison involving Nazis or Hitler approaches. Promulgated by the American attorney and author Mike Godwin in 1990, said Godwin's Law originally referred specifically to Usenet group discussions. He stated that he introduced Godwin's Law in 1990 as an experiment in memetics, specifically to address the ubiquity of such comparisons, which he believes regrettably trivialize the Holocaust. Later, it was applied to any threaded online discussion, such as internet forums, chat rooms, social media, threads, speeches, articles, and other rhetoric, where reductio ad Hitlerum occurs. 2012, Godwin's Law became an entry in the third edition of the Oxford English Dictionary. Good call there, Demon's Wrath. So there was a follow-up to the video I just showed you. Because a lot of people rightfully said, hey, is this the Hitler thing we're hearing about? Right? Is this breaking news from General Kelly? Is this what you were talking about with the ending his campaign? And he decided to follow up with yet another video.
And the point I was making is there's all sorts of things being floated out there. Maybe Jeffrey Goldberg just happened to finish the story 2 weeks before the election. I'm sure Sean will have a point of view about that. I know of one story that's been pitched to a major newspaper and to me, and for all I know, to many others, that I don't believe is true. But if it's true, as I said yesterday, it would end Donald Trump's campaign. Just as if the accusations now thoroughly debunked and attributed by American intelligence to Russia about Tim Walz, if those were true, it would end his campaign. What we're seeing in the final days, is a point I was making, is actors who want a certain outcome are on social media and in pitches to reporters, and in the case of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg writing himself, are trying to affect the end of the race because they're so desperate to try to pull a Comey.
There you go.
I'm not pursuing the story. I don't think it's true. People in Mar-a-Lago, calm down. All I'm saying is there are people out there pitching stuff, And if it were true, it would end his campaign. But if someone pitched me a story that said Trump is a Martian, I might not end his campaign. People might think that's cool. You get my point. There's stuff like that.
There we go. There we go. So, the shit's getting stirred, right? They're getting desperate, right? Trump's leading in the polls. Trump's leading in the polls. Damn it. I need to open a new tab. There we go. And what do you do when Trump's leading in the polls? You throw everything you can at him. Fortunately, we have real people who know about the spiritual battle happening right now. And they know the truth about Donald Trump. You ready for the truth about Donald Trump? Witches on Reddit know the truth about Donald Trump. Some other witches have mentioned that doing spells directly against T-Rump are not as effective as we might hope, as he seems to have some kind of protection around him. A freezer spell against Project 2025 would likely be useful, but I wouldn't give the Cheeto any more attention right now. A lot of people are taking the opportunity to do protection and uplifting kinds of spells to help Kamala and the Democrats rather than attacking the other side. An awesome spell that can be repeated many times is the Blue Wave spell by Michael Hughes, link included. It is powerful. Good luck and Godspeed. Feel free to share and spread this spell far and wide, but please do not include my username. Feel my cocoa beats on Reddit. We can win this. So even the unhinged left-wing witches know better than to try to sling random shit at Donald Trump. There you have it, folks. There you have it. Now again, I want to know what are these unconstitutional illegal orders that Donald Trump is being accused of giving to his generals that they refused to carry out, and therefore Trump wished he could replace them with more Nazi-like generals. Could it be to lock up his political opponents? What kind of monster would just want to lock up, unconstitutionally just lock up his political opponents? What kind of monster would do that?
He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education. He means it. This is not a joke. This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one. Thinks he has a right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if need be, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill.
Again, they're bringing out every debunked media narrative there is and stacking it on the Hitler Tower. They're doing it. What are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it?
Someone who he believes to be a threat to him. I mean, so
somebody needs to be a threat to him.
It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up.
We got a what? We got a what? Let's listen to a few seconds, several seconds back again, because I want to hear that.
Eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him.
Oh, someone he believes to be a threat to him. Okay, my bad. And then, okay, let's listen back.
I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up.
He'd lock you up. We'll see. Doubtful, but we'll see.
Lock him up.
Lock him up.
Politically lock him up.
And he realizes what he says is politically lock him up. What does that mean? What does it mean to politically lock someone up? That's almost more sus than the outright wanting to jail your opponents, right? That almost sounds more sus. Because I have a memory. I can remember in the late hours of January 6th. Now, look, feel free to take whatever position on January 6th that you want to. But I remember the late hours of January 6th. Trump put out a tweet telling people to go home, telling people to leave peacefully. And after that, the media didn't want that out there. The president of the United States, the still sitting president of the United States, was simultaneously banned from every social media platform and every mainstream media network. Essentially having his First Amendment rights curtailed. So when you say politically lock him up, you want to talk a big game. You Democrats want to talk a big game about your white supremacist dog whistles. Well, I want to talk about your totalitarian dog whistles. To lock someone up politically. You mean you want the establishment to silence a citizen of the United States who just happens to be a former president of the United States and current candidate for the office of president of the United States? Because that's what it sounds like. Because that's how you politically lock someone up. Just ask Bobby Kennedy. Ask Ron Paul. Ask Dennis Kucinich. Ask Tulsi Gabbard. Ask all of these people who ran for president of the United States and had major political parties working with the mainstream media to lock you out, to claim you had no chance, to make you seem, ask Bernie Sanders. I don't agree with Bernie Sanders about 90% of things. But the way the Democrat Party and the mainstream media establishment did Bernie Sanders in the waning moments of the 2016 primary race, and thanks to WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, and thanks to American hero Seth Rich, who paid the ultimate cost of being a whistleblower, we now know that they did Bernie Sanders dirty. So all this talk about stealing elections, what they did in the primary this year, locking out people like Bobby Kennedy to promote this dinosaur on the screen, only to then rearrange the deck chairs at the 11th hour. They will do anything for power, ladies and gentlemen. They say the quiet parts out loud. We catch them in it all the time. And the more they keep putting this old man in front of us, in front of cameras, he's going to keep letting the veil slip. Okay. I'm going to take him off the screen. But are the American people falling for it? That's the question. Are Democrats falling for it? Are the targeted voter bases that the Democrats are going for, are they falling for it? Let's look. MSNBC went to the communities that they are covet and asked for themselves.
What are your feelings? And let me start with the women here about Kamala Harris.
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America, because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president,
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for a truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a Black woman, but yet she's locking up Black women.
Yep. That's a real unfortunate thing in Kamala Harris's past. Yes, these women are
And
putting her
Black
to the
men and
torch.
separating families.
This is the thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, you know, Kamala Harris became Black when it was convenient.
Right.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her Blackness?
Absolutely. She's sworn into when she sworn to the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not Black. Let's understand that. We
all know
aware of that. But my point of view is,
we all know. We all know. Thank you, Joan Rivers, for that quote. And thank you to this lady. We all know.
like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
There we go. She's already been there. She's in office right now. Hey, we got Sanglan86. Cheers and welcome, brother. Good seeing you. Over in the Rumble chat. I love my Rumble chat. Rumble chat is the best chat. All right. So we've got about 15 minutes left. All right. 15 minutes left. Time for Batman. It's Batman time. So I don't know if you folks have seen this video, but this one is why I titled the stream how I did. We're going to talk Batman the rest of the show. First off, the man who everyone refers to as Batman talking to you like you're stupid.
Hey, hi, I'm Michael. You know, for some of you folks who, guys mostly, I guess, who are thinking about attending a rally with Musk and Trump.
Hey, hello, fellow normal folks. Hello, fellow rural voters. Hello, fellow kids, right? Strong talking to people like I'm their peer vibes going on here.
They don't really respect you. They laugh at you behind your back. They think.
Okay. And what do you think Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, Joe Biden, and their families do behind our backs? Sanglet says, looks like a skinwalker.
You're stupid. They don't want to hang out with you. They have nothing in common with you. They're not your bros.
They have one thing in common with me. Now, again, I don't claim to have a lot in common with Donald Trump. And this seems to be this big misnomer that leftists have about Trump supporters and independents, is that we give a rat's ass about trending, about fads, about what's popular, about what the hello fellow kids want to see. Like Trump's supporter base, like they're not asking for handouts. They're not asking for a pat on the back. I recently had a conversation with a Harris supporter, and they asked me, how are you thinking about voting? I said Trump. And then, we kind of got into this little thing about, well, I want to vote for somebody who could do something for me. I don't give two shits if Trump can do something for me. And then this person went on to say, oh, no, they just want to give tax cuts to the rich. Republicans just want to give tax cuts to the rich. I said, I don't give a fuck about the rich. Cut taxes wherever you can cut them. I give no fucks. I just want the president to get out of my way. I want the president to stop creating insane inflation. I want the president to stop with insane policies. And I want the president to secure our country. Whether that affects me or not, that affects me in very tertiary ways. It doesn't affect me directly. It affects me in all the ways that matter, because then the migrants stay the fuck out of my way. The bankers stay the fuck out of my way. The inflation stays the fuck out of my way. The grocery prices and gas prices stay the fuck out of my way. And then I can help myself. I don't need a president to help me. I can help myself. Still Not Banned here says, man, I was just saying I thought he was a great actor. No, we're going to keep listening.
And I'm telling you, when Trump...
And look, Still Not Banned here. Look, I want to state this for the record. The official position of Mild's Culture Plate is there are wonderful artists of all genres who are far leftist, Trump derangement weirdos. I still love to pick up an old Stephen King book every once in a while. Now, granted, I want to say this, like what they're doing to Salem's Lot, they're making this whole, I don't remember if it was a movie or TV series, but it just looks like garbage. But Salem's Lot, the book, was fucking great. Now, it's got the whole child sex scene and stuff in it, and no child orgies for me. But, Michael Keaton, he is a good actor. He's starred in some great roles. I haven't seen the new Beetlejuice yet. I didn't like The Flash. He was all right in Spider-Man. Apparently he's reprising his role in Spider-Man. We'll see. Yeah, big props to Michael Keaton for his ability to perform his craft on screen. But his ability to relate to human beings on a human level, well, we'll keep listening.
Years ago, I guess, said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for me. Basically, what he's saying in parentheses is these people are so stupid, they're so dumb, they'd still vote for me. They have no respect for you. Trust me. Hey, hi, Mike.
Okay, so again, this appeal to the viewer here is under two assumptions. One, that any alternative does give a shit about me. And two, that you, Michael Keaton, a Hollywood actor who has been rich since I could walk. What year was Mr. Mom? 1983. Dude, I was 3 years old. This man made his first millions before I went to preschool. And he wants me to think that he's not also in the class of people who give no shits about me. Where are the videos of you walking around talking to voters, shaking hands with voters? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're too busy making movies, which, more power to you. You're a good actor. But this idea that this election's so important that you have to get involved now and tell us just how out of touch Trump is with our needs implies that you are in touch with what we need. Okay, still not banned here. Well, it's been my experience that artistic people I thought were great aren't just leftists, they steal work from people. I can think of several musical acts and writers who have, at least. I can view art as separate from the person, but once you're informed they're super duper terrible, it loses its charm. Yeah. Yeah, and look, you see the Batman stuff behind me. I was 9 years old when I saw this dude in a rubber suit and cape, fists on the Joker's shirt on the roof of the clock tower of the church tower, saying, "I'm Batman." Those were epic memories that etched into my brain as a child and forever made me a fan of the character. Forever. Regardless of, we're going to get into, regardless of what they're doing with the character now. It was this man's art who helped with that. And yes, this shit does taint it just a little bit. And Sanglin says, still not banned here. It depends on who and what art. Robert Johnson was one of the best bluesmen ever. Yeah. And look, this is something I got into it with the person I was talking about earlier. And again, I'm not trying to call out people I know in real life. But one thing we agreed on is that the political divide assumes that everyone is so far right or so far left that we can't find things to agree upon. When most of us are somewhere in the middle. Now, one thing I will say is lately, it's the far leftists who demand you believe the entire political platform that they believe, right? Because if you don't believe in abortion, you hate women. You don't believe in giving kids puberty blockers. You want to see trans kids yeet themselves, right? Because their entire platform, each thing is based off of some kind of empathy, and if you're not that empathetic of a person, then F you. Then fuck you. So they demand fealty. There are a lot of leftists who demand fealty to all the leftist positions. But most people have an issue or two that they don't agree with the right or the left. I necessarily don't agree with the right wing's position on Israel. I'm not for Palestine either. I'm for America. But that doesn't mean I can't go vote for a pro-Israel candidate. I don't like doing it. But again, this idea, you got one of the best bluesmen ever, definitely has unfortunate things that he has said. And yeah, it sours the charm just a little bit, but you know what? The art is great. The music is great. The movies, the portrayal of Batman, at least in the first two movies, great. So, folks, if you're not into comic books and you're not into Batman, this is about the time I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping the political discussion up and the media narrative discussion up, because now I want to talk about Batman. I typically don't like to talk about my hobbies and my obsession on my show, but we're almost to the hour part, and this is the content I have left. I'm going to give a little review on the Penguin TV show. Just a little review on the first 5 episodes. It's not going to be super spoilery, but I'm going to be bringing up a couple news articles that are a little spoilery about the Penguin TV show, and I'm going to kind of give my opinion on it. Now, I say that with the caveat that I'm going to assume most of my audience either know of my review of the Batman movie, or I'm going to give a quick recap of just my basic overall vibe on the Batman movie, because that's going to be important, because it's all this Matt Reeves Batman universe. But before I do any of that, please, if you're on your way out, click the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. And then also before that, I want to cover this other news story about Batman. And again, this is kind of a weird show because I went so deep dive into the political media narratives that now I've got to lighten this back up by talking about TV cape shit. And so I've got a story about the Batman 1966 television show that I just wanted to address, just to publicize, my opinion on yet another shitty media narrative but now by entertainment media. I usually don't give entertainment media a lot of platform on my show, but I had to address this. So here we go. They were making the man an idiot. This is from Fandom Wire, written by Daya. Hang on, I gotta open a new window. This is Daya Majumdar. Do not harass or contact this person in any way, as we always say. Degree in literature and a love for pop culture. 1,800 articles on Fandom Wire. Being a liberally opinionated person with an overbearing love for music and Monet. Okay, so this is the person writing this article. We'll go back to the article. Zack Snyder and Frank Miller both know how the Adam West show damaged the reputation of Batman. Frank Miller and Zack Snyder reject Adam West's reductive take on Batman that demoted the Caped Crusader to an idiotic man on a mission. Got Still Not Banned here saying, like crime, not just political opinion, hard to support people who kill, and especially kids. Yeah. Adam West's Batman TV series. Okay, we're going to skip the summary and just do kind of a deep dive here a little bit. Mythology of comic book superheroes, Batman and Superman have been the two most enduring figures. When it comes to silver screen, the story is entirely different. Some deify the versions portrayed by Zack Snyder, others ridicule them for being darker, more psychologically complex, and morally gray heroes who are otherwise meant to be the beacon of hope and self-made avenger of the oppressed. The comic book legend Frank Miller particularly associates himself with a darker representation of these pop culture icons. There's no single way of dissecting a creative work that has been reviewed, revisited, rewritten by hundreds of authors and artists over dozens of decades through the last century. Even still, DC fans can come together in unity to stand opposed to one adaptation of Batman, the Adam West TV show. There's no telling how frenzy a fandom surrounding a pop culture figure can get when their protagonist gets disintegrated in front of their very eyes. In the days of Adam West's television series, Batman was luckily spared the kind of elitism that Christopher Nolan brought to the table. Nolan radically revolutionized and reshaped Batman to the most notorious superhero that can ever exist in the comic book world, along with a Joker who is unquestionably the most maniacal psychopath to walk the earth. With Nolan, Batman found a second coming in a new golden age of comic book heroes. Placing Nolan and Snyder's adaptations parallel to the Adam West TV show version, It is almost laughable how cruelly the 60s ridiculed the concept of Batman. West's hero was a man out of his depths, the butt of the joke that underlined every Batman comic, and in Frank Miller's own words, the TV show was constantly telling you how stupid the comic book was. I'm a big defender of Zack Snyder's universe. Okay, so this is Frank Miller's words. We're going to see, let's get into Zack Snyder's words here. Hardly justifiable to argue. Yeah. Frank Miller wrote Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil, blah, blah, blah. Zack Snyder followed in this visionary's footsteps to bring to the screen a darker, more mature version of the Justice League superheroes, attempting to redeem DC from its Batman and Robin mishap and the infamous fiasco of the nippled batsuit era. Again, this is more Frank Miller. Okay. Frank Miller was interviewed and said the notorious old TV show, that was a goof. It was basically a snide take on stuff that I remember that I absolutely loved. I loved the comic book characters, and the TV show was constantly telling you how stupid the comic book was. Then here we have Snyder adding, yeah, it was a counterculture against authority, and they sort of saw Batman as the man. And so I just felt they were making the man out to be sort of an idiot. In Miller's opinion, the guy is no joke, and his artistic products show just how relentless and dangerous one man can be when driven by a sense of justice in a world painted by shades of reds and grays. But despite Snyder's reductive take on a Batman who'd gone completely rogue and morally bankrupt, he helped resurrect an extreme side of the Caped Crusader that Adam West could never have dreamed of, and DC was the better for it. So again, let me just start this by saying Daya Majumdar, you look very young. I too, when I was young, fell into the trap of thinking that Batman had to be a thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Batman is definable. And don't get me wrong. I'm not particularly fond of Batman 66 or Batman and Robin or even the Grant Morrison era of Batman, nor the Silver Age stories in which Grant Morrison drew inspiration from for his Batman R.I.P. or the Black Glove stories. That doesn't mean they're invalid, right? I'm about to go into a rant here in a few minutes about Matt Reeves and his Batman and his take on Batman and how I don't agree with it. But ultimately, it doesn't make it a valid take on Batman. One moment, please. One moment. All right, my apologies for that moment. I had to blow my nose really bad. Oh, man. I hate doing that kind of stuff on camera. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. So, yeah, they were making the man an idiot. So what? Okay, I literally had to sit through the Lego Batman movie. There have been several cartoons, Batman hanging out with Scooby-Doo. Demons Rouse. So I was going to say, Fed got him. No, thankfully, I've not been swatted yet. I'm looking forward to that day. Please don't do that. but I know it's going to eventually happen, and I dread that day coming. But yeah, I know it's going to happen one of these years. But I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I sat through the Lego Batman movie. Now you notice, Daya here didn't mention the Lego Batman movie. It's a lighthearted, cartoony, campy take on the character that is so fantastical that it's not really set in what's going on. To that comment, sitting through the Lego movie. Have you played many Batman games? I presume you've played them all. I have played, when you say them all, I've played most of them. I mean, I'm not rich enough to have a PlayStation VR or the new PlayStation 5 VR that's about to come out with another Batman game. That looks amazing. The new VR Batman game that's going to come out for PS5 VR. That looks pretty cool. If you mean the Arkham series, the Arkham VR, obviously I did not, but the other 4 Arkham games, I played all 4 of them. I did not quite get to the end of Origins. I know I was close to the end, but I had a family issue where I kind of had to give away the PlayStation 3 to somebody, and yeah. Never actually finished playing it before upgrading to a PS4. Arkham Trilogy, Telltale game, and the Lego games. The Telltale game I specifically did not. I actually totally intended to buy the comic book version of that story and read the comic. But no, and the Lego games, nope. Didn't play any of those. I played a lot of the old NES and Super NES Batman games. Those were fun as hell. And I think I beat most of them. Anyway. But the reason I bring all this Batman stuff up is there's no one right take on Batman. It's almost like Santa Claus, right? Now, granted, I don't like and I don't necessarily agree with all these stores selling like Santa Claus statues where they're black and this and that. And to me, but the issue with Batman is this is a character who's been around for going on 85 years now. And there have been several interpretations of the character. There is no one interpretation of the character. Now, I'm sort of a comic book purist. Like, I'm attracted to versions of the character that are as close to the comic book that I remember in the 90s. To me, that's my Batman. But that doesn't mean other people's preferences for a certain take on Batman are more right or more wrong. Now, here's where I'm going to bring this down. We're done with that, and we're kind of done with that part of the conversation. But now here's where I think is you do have to have the underlining characterization. The Batman being an orphan, the Batman caring about justice. You have to have certain underlying things for it to be Batman. But now we're having all of these other DC multiverse Batman wannabes come out of the woodwork. So let me talk a little bit about Matt Reeves's Batman and why I didn't like it, just to give you kind of a little recap on my review. I think a lot of fans love the movie. I didn't hate it. There were 2 shining stars of that movie. And that was, the Penguin, Colin Farrell, and John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Everyone else in that movie kind of sucked, in my opinion. And the script was okay, had its high points, but to me, everyone told me, oh, this is a Batman who is a detective. And everything he did just was not a detective and was not Batman and was not heroic. And so I did a video review of it on my channel. You can go back and find it. But basically that was my final word on it, is this Batman just wasn't a hero. Didn't do anything heroic. Every time he had a chance to be the hero, he did the opposite. Speaking of hero. And speaking as we did earlier with Sanglant and Still Not Banned here and Demon's Wrath, as we did earlier, we were talking about the hero complex that actors have. I wanted you folks to see this next story. I was graced by a story about a month and a half ago, before the new Penguin show came out, that the Penguin TV show recasts a key role, right? So we were going to see a different actor play a role that we saw in the Batman movie, a different actor for the Penguin show. And when I read that article assured me it was a nothing burger. And that, no, this is just a flashback to a younger Carmine Falcone. And that John Turturro would not be back to reprise his role as Carmine Falcone for the Penguin after his performance in The Batman. Well, now we have this coming out. And again, I have no idea who this news outlet is, but this is Just Jared. Article by JJ Staff. This could be bullshit. This could be bullshit. But this sounds like it's not bullshit. John Turturro turned down the Penguin return over violence toward women, showrunner responds. Fans thought John Turturro might reprise his role as Carmine Falcone. Mark Strong ended up playing the role in a flashback sequence. John ended up explaining why he turned down the chance to return to the franchise. Speaking to Variety. Hang on, let me open the link to Variety. I should have just covered this. Yep, sure enough, it's in Variety. But I'll go ahead and finish up here on Just Jared. I did what I wanted to with the role. In the show, there was a lot of violence toward women, and that's not my thing. John told Variety about passing on the series after starring in the film. His character was violent in the film as well. However, John reasoned, it happens off screen. It's scarier that way. Dude, you were choking Catwoman. You were choking Catwoman. Trying to murder Catwoman. You can't do everything you want to. Showrunner Lauren LaFranc then responded to John's comments, saying she understands where he's coming from. I completely respect an actor who doesn't work to take on a role for whatever personal reasons. I only want people to join our show who are excited and want to further the story. I think Mark Strong did a fantastic job. He made the character his own and also really honored what John Turturro did. Okay, so let me just address this real quick with minor spoilers. So in the movie, John Turturro tries to choke Catwoman. And so, for the TV show, they made that essentially the key part of Carmine Falcone's personality. And essentially turned him into a serial killer who chokes women to death. And now we're told, oh, Turturro didn't want violence against women. Oh, here, Demon's Wrath. Media violence against women is a plot device meant to lead viewers to instantly recognizing a heightening of stakes, also a departure from the civilized to the uncivilized. Yes, exactly. Also can be quite funny, not going to lie. I mean, yes. So again, minor spoilers for the TV show. We have several characters in the show the show is essentially a mob war that our protagonist, our anti-hero, Penguin, is stuck in the middle of. And we get to follow and learn about this gang war through the eyes of an unsuspecting apprentice. A young kid who was caught trying to steal from Penguin, and Penguin took him under his wing, so to speak. Pardon the pun. So this is the essentially the plot of the show The Penguin. Now again, I'm not going to spoil too much of the actual events of the show. But there are several sympathetic and empathetic characters in the show. But they're all violent, horrifically violent. And so far, most of them have showed that they are not above killing. And honestly, it's a pretty good show. There is one glaringly obvious problem with this show. It is uncharacteristic of Batman. Where the fuck is Batman? The showrunners, HBO, everyone just agrees, no, Batman's there, but we just don't see him. Like, he's just not involved in any of these plots. Hey, we got Shut Up I Can Cook over on YouTube. Cheers and welcome. Good seeing you. Always a good day when we have a cookie presence. Sorry it had to happen during my review of Batman media here. But feel free to, check out the rest of the show. But anyway, the absence of Batman in this show is intentional because they want you to focus on the characters and the actors and these wonderful characterizations that they've written for us. But if you know jack and shit about Batman, including the Batman that they have introduced in this movie, setting up this universe, I mean, just dead bodies everywhere, gang warfare everywhere, drug dealing everywhere. In the movie, they wanted us to think that criminals were so afraid of Batman that they themselves had to hide in the shadows. And now you literally have scenes of mob gunfire in the streets back and forth several times in the first 5 episodes. So here's a meme I saw on Twitter that says, while the Maronis and Falcones are on the streets murdering with each other, here's Batman. Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. So again, it's a wonderful show if you just ignore the fact that Batman is supposed to exist in this universe. He just doesn't. And quite frankly, I give no shits about Batman Season 2. Or Part 2 movie. Batman 2 the movie. As I've addressed on previous show here, Matt Reeves said that he takes a lot of inspiration from Jeff Loeb, and quite frankly, Jeff Loeb is one of my least favorite Batman writers. Just like with the first Batman movie, Jeff Loeb's writing, people sold me on it saying, oh, they're detective stories. No, they're whodunits. But not every whodunit is a detective story. We, the viewer, have to be the detectives. But the character in the story is just dumb and follows a bunch of bullshit red herrings that even he should know are wrong. I don't need that in movies all the time. I didn't need it in comic books all the time. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Long Halloween and Hush, classic graphic novels, bring in a lot of fans. A lot of fans love it. It's good for the industry, and it's good for the character. They're not my favorite Batman story. It's kind of like how everybody, they love a good Ford Mustang until they have to drive one for 5 years. It's pretty, it's flashy, it brings people in. But, once you like a sports car, then you might start liking a different kind of sports car. Anyway, so folks, I have rambled about Batman for way too long. So again, keep your eyes out for the media narratives around this Donald Trump is mustache man. Oh my. All the people saying Donald Trump is unstable, he's a dictator, bringing out all the old talking points. We're 2 weeks away, folks, 2 weeks. Please set your alarms, set your clocks, set reminders, set Google Calendar. If you're not early voting now, if you're not going to your polls and doing the early voting now, set your reminders to vote. I don't care if you vote for Kamala. We need as many people to go to the polls as we can. To me, I wouldn't vote for Kamala because she's the establishment's candidate. She's the clear favorite of the mainstream media and the clear favorite of all the Operation Mockingbird journalists and establishment that wants you to believe the narratives that will fuck this country. So I'm not voting for Kamala, and I'm not telling you who to vote for. But quite frankly, the more people who show up to the polls and the more people who are paying attention at their polls. We've seen a lot of videos this week. Feel free to check the internet. Let me see what that is. Monster Size Hellboy. Mike Mignola. I like Mike Mignola. Yeah, Hellboy is Mike Mignola. Yeah, but might be more my speed. Yeah, I've been meaning to check into Hellboy. How many pages is this? Is this like I'm assuming because it says Monster Size. Yeah, it's like a hardcover omnibus. I might have to find something like cheaper and in paperback format, but I'm actually at your recommendation. Yeah, they got, okay, Mike Mignola, Hellboy. Omnibus Volume 1, Seed of Destruction, paperback. Mignola and John Byrne, 4-volume omnibus series. I'll have to look more into it. I'll have to do some research on the reading order for Hellboy, especially Mike Mignola. But yeah, I'll actually take your recommendation. I'll look into Hellboy. The first Hellboy movie is the only Hellboy I've seen of anything. So yeah, and it interests me. It's just one thing that I've never dug beyond surface level on. But anyway, folks, make sure you set your clocks to vote. Set your Google Calendar, set your alarms. 2 weeks from today. In fact, 2 weeks from now, or no, yesterday. 2 weeks from yesterday. My bad. 2 weeks from yesterday was Tuesday. 13 days. Set your clock. Set your alarms. Dear God, I don't know how many times I said 2 weeks from today. I hope I'm not arrested for telling people to vote on the wrong day or in the wrong way. Dear Lord, our country's doing that kind of shit now. Hey, check your local library. You know what? I don't even think I need to check my local library. Folks, here, this is a time when I want to give a shout out. If you're, oh my God, my microphone is buzzing. I think it's my cord. There, I think that cleared it up. Sorry about the buzzing, folks. What I highly recommend is if you have a local library card, a library account, look into whether or not your library supports the Hoopla app. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to pimp some app, but as a comic book fan, Hoopla has been a lifesaver. Okay? There are definitely some open seas piracy kind of websites out there where you can read comic books for free. I don't support that. I support piracy in some ways, but I don't necessarily support that. But Hoopla is a way that your library can give you access to a lot of comic books. Now I'm sounding like a damn ad. I'm not trying to. But Hoopla can give you access to a lot of comic books free. So let me look and see here. Hellboy. So yeah, I might be able to read it digitally. I don't love reading comics digitally, but it does save me from fucking up my big omnibuses. In fact, I read this Batman Adventures omnibus. I read mostly in digital format. It's not on Hoopla, but the individual volumes are, and that's how I read it. Anyway, folks, so yeah, I'm trying to wrap up the show and I keep rambling about Batman and comic books. And anyway, folks, this is an important election. A lot's riding on this election. And again, I don't tell you who to vote for. But pay attention to what the media is doing. And I want to stress one other important thing. There's a lot of videos out there where people are posting unusual things happening at their polling places. If you see something shady at your polling place, don't just shrug it off. I had a situation once where I showed up to a polling place and the thing wasn't reading, right? So they shut down the voting machine I was using. And they started asking us to put our ballots in a bin, almost like a postal service mail bin, like one of those little white totes. And I was about to say, no, fuck no. I'm standing here until my ballot is counted, period. Like, I'll just stand in a corner holding my ballot until I can scan it into a machine. I'm not just putting it in some bin to be discarded later. But there's been a lot of reports about votes not being correct after being counted and printed out on the return. Dear Lord, man. See, this is why I like paperbacks. Something I can hold and carry on a bus or carry places. But anyway, long story short. Now, you hope there's poll watchers somewhere to see what they're doing with bins of ballots and if they have to discard a ballot or duplicate a ballot, that those duplicated ballots are being discarded. Folks, I don't care if I get in trouble. Like, I'm ripping that shit up if it's not the correct ballot. Your results may vary. Don't break the law. But also don't just stand there and be like, this is shady. What are they doing with my ballot? No, make sure the shit gets counted. Don't get yourself arrested. Go to your election board and file a complaint if you have to. Mrs. said you should also look into Flipster. It's a service fulfilled by the library like Hoopla is. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's 2 or 3 services like that out there. But to me, Hoopla does tend to have most of the stuff as it's released. Now, it doesn't have the big omnibuses like Sanglin's talking about, the 1,500-page books. But it does tend to have most of the smaller hardcover graphic novel size comics. Big props to Hoopla. They got me through a lot of rough times. And a lot of the stuff on my shelf, I actually did read on Hoopla. And a lot of stuff I don't have on my shelf because I read a lot of Catwoman and Batgirl and stuff I didn't want to buy, especially from the New 52 and Rebirth eras. I didn't want to buy all that shit because most of it was feminist propaganda, but I did kind of want to know some of the things tied in with tertiary characters to the Batman mythos. So I read them on there. Anyway, folks. Less than 2 weeks. They're pulling out all the stops. They're pulling out all the lies. And thanks to you folks who do more than just watch your TV. Yes, try before you buy. Try before you buy. That's always a good idea. There's some stuff I know I'm going to want to buy. In fact, right now, I mean, I've got the DC Marvel Omnibus pre-ordered. I hear people are having problems getting pre-orders in now. Hopefully I receive it. It's supposed to be here after the first of the month. Ooh, public library PDF servers from 98 or so. Yeah. I mean, but look, shout out to Internet Archive. If you haven't been in the deep dive of the Internet Archive website, they've got some cool shit on there. That's really our public library now, is the Internet Archive. They have got some amazing stuff in the Internet Archive. In fact, if I ever decide to cancel some of my TV services, I'm going to... Oh, wait, is the Internet Archive down? Is it? Holy shit. I did hear they got bought out. Oh, yeah. Holy shit. Wow. So they still got Wayback Machine and the archive. But wow. Okay. Archive, it's still here. Jesus, no. Okay. Well, thank you for the heads up, Demon's Wrath. No more Internet Archive. Too much stuff about politicians for a few weeks now. Oh my God. See, I didn't know. I didn't know. But yeah, folks, I'm late for dinner. I am way late for dinner. So yeah, I thought about like going eating dinner, coming back and doing the Kamala Harris town hall tonight on CNN. Not gonna happen. Sorry, folks. Uh, I don't think I could. I don't think I could sit through a Kamala Harris town hall where she's lobbed softballs that are from pre-screened audience members. Can't do it. But I may be covering some of the points that are brought up in the town hall. If there's any spicy moments, you can count on me bringing it up Saturday on Miles Culture Plate Saturday show. Same bat time, same bat channel, 6 p.m. Central, every Wednesday and Saturday. X, Rumble, YouTube. Please follow me on all the social media down in the description to find me, in case I need to reschedule a show or cancel a show or something. I might announce a secret surprise show at certain points. Not tonight. But yeah, if you follow me on social media, you'll know when Miles Culture Plate's going to come on. Also, if you're on YouTube, you click that their notification bell. It'll let you know when I'm going live. Till then, folks, again, big thank you to Demon's Wrath, Sangland 86, still not banned here, and Great Liquor, and of course, Shut Up I Cook over on YouTube. Thank you all for stopping by, and you, the viewer, who might be watching me on demand later. Here's to everyone. Here's to good health and the rest of a good week. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Outlast the haters. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. Have a wonderful night from Miles Culture Plate.